Good morning, Kilmer community. Today is Thursday, March 18th, 2021. As a reminder, our core values are respect, responsibility, and empathy. We continue to work on all three with a focus on respect. Additionally, our SEL strategy is positive self talk. So when you have a task in front of you and you're not sure of what to do, you can always ask a question to clarify, or you can persevere. Even if it's a challenging task, you can say, I know I can, I think I can. Because I've told you before, if you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. Either way, you are right. We welcome our grades 4 through 8 back from cohort B today, so we're excited to have everyone come into the building. So a big round of applause for that. Woo! Can't wait to see you. We love having you in our buildings. Also, I want to share or highlight a person for National Women's History Month. So before I do that, let me introduce a word to you. Here's the word, advocate. Do you know what advocate means? Well, I will tell you that it comes from the Latin language. Ad means to or toward. Vocare, with the R, means to call. So it's like to call out. However, in Middle English, they've changed it slightly where it means to be a champion for someone, to speak on behalf of someone. And so the lady that I'm going to share with you today is an advocate. This is Mary Tape. She's here with her family. She and her husband, Joseph, raised 4 children together. These are 3 of their 4 children. Here they are in their later years. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She was born in 1857 in Shanghai, China. And at the age of 11, she was an orphan, meaning that she didn't have any family left in China. So she came and traveled to the US and landed in San Francisco, California on her own. So the Ladies Protection and Relief Society helped her out. They gave her housing, they taught her how to speak English, they gave her food, and Mary respected one of the ladies, the matriarch of the house, and so she named herself after that lady. So Mary called herself Mary McGladdery. So she met her husband, who was also a Chinese immigrant, and they built a middle-class family, so they did very well. He was a brokerage and an interpreter, and she raised her children and also did photography. Even with the wealth that they had, they were not protected by the racial discrimination during the times of anti-Chinese exclusion, meaning like against Chinese people and excluding them. We are an inclusive community, but there were those who excluded Chinese American. So this is where her activism comes in. She fought for equal education. When her oldest child was old enough, she wanted her child to attend a public school in the neighborhood where only white students were at. She was denied admission because she was Chinese. This infuriated Mary, so she took both the principal and the Board of Education for San Francisco to court. There was a landmark case called Tape versus Hurley, which guaranteed Chinese children the right to a public school education. Unfortunately, they found a way around that. So San Francisco ended up building schools and primary schools that were just for Chinese American. And this is where her children went. The family ended up moving across the bay to Berkeley, where they had greater rights. Now, the Tape versus Hurley case and the state's reaction by creating a school for Chinese American foreshadowed, almost like predicted, the case Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896. The decision there said it was okay to have separate facilities as long as they were equal. I will say later on, in 1954, the Brown versus the Board of Education held that having separate but equal is unconstitutional, meaning it's not right in the context of public schools and educational facilities. So she kind of like set the path and paved a way for students of all colors, races, religions to be able to go to school together. Look around at your students today. If we were back in that time, you wouldn't see the diverse culture that we have in our community. So we're grateful for women like Mary, who helped to pave that way. And as a Chinese American, she was raised to act more what would be typical American compared to other Chinese people at that time. So her advocacy, being an advocate, paved the path for people of her race to be more accepted in their society. And she also earned awards for her photography. She died in 1934, 5 months before her husband. And I just think it's important to note that even today, people still face discrimination. But with people like her and some of the other people in our history who fought for equal rights, we're getting closer to being completely equal and accepting of all. So I hope you can take that with you. Next, I want to share a few jokes before we close out the day. So Brendan in Miss Schindler's class sent me a joke. So I have that joke and a few for myself. So did you hear about the kidnapping at school? Yes, he slept for an hour. Thank you, Brendan, for sharing that with me. Obviously, if you have more jokes, send them my way. And here's a few more. Knock, knock. No bell. No bell. That's why I knocked. You know what? Whoever invented knock, knock jokes should get a Nobel Prize. All right. Okay, so now for our math and science people, last one for you. If you ever get cold, just stand in the corner of a room for a while. They're normally around 90 degrees. All right. All right, on that note, we love you, we care for you, we're glad to have everyone being able to return to the building who wants to. And here's a couple of notes. Always be your best you and make today and every day a great day. I will see you next time.